Hey, before we start the show, just wanted to let you know that No Inner Monologue is available on all your favorite podcast providers. And now on YouTube. Don't forget to check us out on social media at No Inner Pod on Instagram and Twitter, and No Inner Monologue on Facebook. Now, enjoy the show. Previously on No Inner Monologue.
Awesome Kong, who plays a character on Glow, the TV show, signed with AEW as well.
Who does she play on Glow?
She's the welfare queen.
What?
Yeah.
Oh shit! I never put that together.
Kia Stevens is her name in real life. So.
I've seen in
From the 7-ish Studios in Mississauga, Ontario, it's the No Inner Monologue podcast.
Hey, welcome to episode 83 of No Inner Monologue.
Benvenue.
I am Dwayne Nerona.
I'm Joey Mangione.
and as always, it's me, Manuel Lugin.
The creepiest of uncles.
I feel like you forget your name every week. Like you're shocked that we throw it to you.
Yeah. He's like, oh God, I'm supposed to talk.
He's still drunk from last week.
Stage. Speaking of, do you have any more beer?
Not
No.
for you. No.
All right.
No, because then Josh came and we finished the rest of that. That was left of that beer.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So whatever beer is in that fridge is not mine. So.
Oh, okay.
And not for you.
And yeah.
But I'm sure. I mean, if you spilled some from last week, you can lick the one sip and get drunk for the rest of this hour.
I could really go for a nice Corona.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, no, they're not cold.
Yeah, I know.
He's mentioning it because I do have Corona,
Oh.
and it's not cold because I keep forgetting to put them in the fridge.
Shucks.
I'm a terrible host.
Yeah. Also, aren't you having a coffee?
You literally
You
just
gotta
finished.
balance it out.
Okay, they're Thanos.
The worst Thanos ever. Fucking goes far and wide to get all the gemstones, only to like make
Only
sure.
to get a Corona.
No,
Thanos is played by Vin Diesel.
only to make sure he can get either a Corona or a coffee. It's only one of the other.
Have you guys seen that video of Thanos dancing merengue?
Oh God,
I don't want to see
No.
this.
It's fucking great.
All
I'll show
right,
it to you guys.
you might
after.
have to send that to me later. But anyways, I wanted to bring one thing up before we start the
Oh
show.
God, here we go.
Have you ever gotten a phone call from Manny Dwen?
Have I? I've known this guy for 22 years. I've got many a phone call.
Now,
One of them was important, I think.
Exactly. I'm gonna play a clip here, and the thing about this, it's sort of like an example of every phone call you've ever made to me. He's got this face like, okay, what the fuck is Joe gonna play? So just let's take a listen here.
Yellow.
Hey, Quagmire.
Hey, Peter, what's up?
Not much.
Well, what do you want?
Nothing. I'm just called to talk. What you thinking about?
What do you mean, what am I thinking about? You called me.
I just wanted to say hi. So what do you do?
That's a typical phone call from you, buddy.
His face is
He's like,
so
fuck.
bad.
He's so mad, but he's like, fuck. He's got me.
Usually you get the man. You pick up the phone. You're like, hey man. He goes, oh yeah. So what? I was going to tell you. I was going to say. What was I going to say? So what's going on, man?
Yeah.
I'm
followed
usually
by-
distracted. I get distracted easily.
Okay, but
Manny.
why are you calling?
You have called.
What does it matter?
It's actually kind of the whole point of the phone call.
No, it's not. You call to be with someone else's company.
No, that's not what
it
phone
works.
calls
Yes,
are.
it is. It is. I'm sorry that you grew up in a cell phone era.
No, I didn't. I'm your age, you dipshit.
Well, I'm sorry that you had this better technology in growing up.
I lived in Dubai. You lived here.
Okay, shut up.
I lived in Asia. You lived in. What are you talking about?
Okay, it's safe to say that we've all grown up relatively in the same era.
When was the last time you used a landline, Joe?
Last time I was at my parents'.
Yeah, same.
Oh.
See, usually what happens is
Like I have no issue. See, I used to answer more when you first used to call, but then I realized the pattern continued of it was just, hey, what you thinking about?
I've never.
The worst part
done
is he
that.
works at a call center.
But they call him.
And then he's
That's
just
the
like-
difference. They call him.
But for company's sake.
You know, I'm quite the conversationalist.
Are you?
I am on this podcast.
But this is what I don't get, though. I mean, you'll call and it'll be just for no real reason.
No, that's fine too.
That's
I don't mind.
okay.
I don't mind
that
when
either,
People
but
call
I
for no
mean-
reason, but he calls. He
But
doesn't have anything to
even
talk about, and then hangs up.
exactly. He doesn't have the conversation part down when he's calling you because he's forgotten what he wants to say.
Look, all that matters is
You're
what this
so
week's
mad at me
topic
right
is.
now.
What is this week's topic,
You're
fellas?
so mad at me right now.
Oh, Joey.
I will admit I did blindside you with this. I sort of sent this to Dwen, the last phone call you gave to me that was random, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm not dealing with this. So rather than answering your phone call, being a terrible friend that I am, I sent Dwen that video.
I didn't know he was putting on the podcast. That part was new to me.
that was shared. That was told with you just now, like right before we went on.
Hold on, Manny. You tell us, what is today's topic about?
Because I kind of threw another fast one at you, didn't I?
I did all this research, as much research as I do, on independent wrestling. Now, it turns out we're actually talking about something completely different.
Oh, I wouldn't say completely different.
Yeah, there's a cross. There's
They
a
do
cross
cross.
between the two.
There is a cross, yes. We are actually talking about women in wrestling.
And women's wrestling.
Yes. No, women in wrestling.
Women's
Which
wrestling.
in and of itself is a good topic to have anyways.
now,
with
now
women
I'm
in
sure
wrestling.
this is. I mean, if you want to know about women's topic, women's wrestling, listen to three fucking dudes in a basement.
I know.
Surrounded by Star Wars stuff.
yeah,
We could have used Tash on this one, huh?
This one. Well, it's just not just used Tash, but I mean, Jesus, this is
I feel
this is
bad
gonna be
saying the words
mansplaining.
used Tash. Yeah, let's
Is that the
start
title
off.
of this
Let's
episode?
start off with
Mansplaining-
we're not
mansplaining
actually
women's wrestling.
trying. We're not actually trying to mansplain anything. So
It's too late.
we've already done it.
I
so.
hate that term, by the way.
Why?
Because you're a man.
No, it's such a stupid
Don't
term.
mansplain to me.
Why do you not like mansplaining?
I just don't like the term. It feels...
Real conversationalist. Eh? Okay, here we go. So,
No, I'm watching my words. Everything's recorded.
right. Okay.
Now you're watching your words. 83 episodes in, and now you're watching your words.
Well, okay. So it's not really like a history of like women's wrestling. It's sort of started up at the same time as everybody else. But I wanted to ask you guys. Joe don't watch a lot of wrestling.
No.
Manny, you watch some, but opinions on women wrestling and opinions on women's wrestling.
Like women in wrestling?
Yeah, so opinion on women in wrestling, opinion on women's wrestling as a thing.
Well, I mean,
What
for the...
Sorry, go ahead, Manny.
So for the longest time, women, at least in like the major, promotion, the WWF, women were
What era are you talking about?
late 80s, early 90s.
Okay.
So women were mainly used as valets, or they were used as managers. The big one that always comes to mind is Miss Elizabeth, the first lady of wrestling, as she's been nicknamed.
But they had a women's title.
No,
in
they
that
did.
time.
No, they did.
You had your Lundra Blazes and your they had a women's tag team title at one point too back then.
No, I know, but they put a lot of attention on them as valets.
I'd argue the opposite of that, though.
With much. Well,
I
this is
mean,
what
yes. Like we remember the valets a lot more than the actual wrestlers, right? But that being said, I mean, the truth is, women wrestling goes back. I mean, almost as far as men's wrestling in general.
But
right?
I think he's talking about though that the focus
it was
is
more
on-
focused towards them being a valet.
Yeah.
Okay.
So continue, man.
So that's one of the first things that I remember. Like there was a huge storyline with the Macho Man Randy Savage.
Okay, but what is like? We can talk storylines, left, right, and center. But what is your opinion on?
My opinion on it,
wrestling, women's wrestling.
I always thought that a lot of these women, they were extremely athletic, so they should have been put in better even all the way up to the Attitude Era. They should have been put up in better matches, like what they're doing now, than in just
Attitude Era had good women's matches.
No, it did. But it had a lot of gimmick matches, like bra and panty matches. It was basically like
Attitude Era had. So Attitude Era is a bit. People are kind of foggy, but like even the men's matches had shitty gimmick matches. There was a Judy back. There was a guy. There was a wrestler whose mom was on a pole match.
That's inappropriate.
That's Jesus Christ. Didn't they do that again too?
No. I don't think another wrestler's mom opted to be in it.
I will say this, and I've noticed this with the little bit of wrestling I've watched, and a lot of my knowledge goes more towards like what I've seen in WWE than anything, and I will attest to what Manny's saying but as you've even said, it's across the board, the gimmick matches or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm finding now that there's more quality women's wrestlers than there was in that era. Yes, you had your handful of like really talented women's wrestlers.
Yeah.
But now it's almost like what I'm trying to say here is in this current era of wrestling, from what I've seen anyways.
Yeah.
But again, I'm mostly an outsider.
Just to clarify it. So there was the current generation of women's wrestling in the WWE is probably like the best.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say.
But you're saying that, but like people who are listening probably don't know that, right? So
right, okay.
They're like probably the best generation of wrestlers that are there right now, and they're treated on the same level as the men.
Yeah,
it's
they're treated on par.
Yeah,
I mean,
so they're all called superstars. There's no like different.
There's no
terms
divas division
whatever,
and stuff like that anymore, right?
So that actually reminds me of something. So prior to the women's belt, the Raw belt, or the women's heavyweight belt, whatever, there actually used to just be the Divas Championship. And there was a tweet that was sent out to McMahon, and McMahon replied. It said the tweet said something along the lines of, take women's wrestling more seriously. And McMahon replied with, "Will do. Watch next week." And then
you have a way of telling a story and just putting all weird facts into it.
Okay, Glenn, what's the story?
I hate when you tell stories because you take like weird bits and pieces out of the story and make up a brand new version of the story. In your story, it's just like somebody wrote this and then Vince was like, "Yeah," and then next week everything was great.
It wasn't.
Go on.
It wasn't.
There was the Attitude Era,
right,
which ran somewhere between the mid '90s to like early 2000s.
Early 2000s, yeah.
And then there was sort of an era where they were sort of like trying to recontextualize what the company was. Because if you watched anything with WB in the Attitude Era, it was like super, super aggressive.
Edgy,
super
aggressive. Yeah.
All that stuff, sexy, all that stuff. And they were trying to figure out what the company was. And they went through this period where they basically started hiring a lot of models who were athletic, who had an athletic background, and then try and train them to be wrestlers. So they were trying to go for girls who had that like Trish Stratus look, but Trish Stratus was like a super athletic chick. So she
and not only that, she turned out to be a really good wrestler. But
she was like a really hard worker. Like if people sort of talk about Trish Stratus, like the first time she was on TV, she actually forgot her lines and like couldn't talk and stuff.
Right.
And she like improved, and sort of caught up to the group of wrestlers that they had at the time, and them all that
hometown girl.
There you go. But like there was Trish, there was Lita, there was Victoria and Jazz, and
like I was trying to say, they like those were the handful of really good talented wrestlers in that era.
But that's what I mean. That in that group there was a mix of girls who like weren't great wrestlers but looked great. And there were other girls who were like good looking as well. That was the thing with WWE in the 90s. They generally went for good looking women regardless. But they were wrestlers. In the 2000s, they sort of went with this like good look. They went with models and tried to teach them how to wrestle.
2000s or 90s?
Like, no, this is in the 2000s.
Okay, sorry.
They had like things who had to wrestle. And what ended up happening was you started having these girls wrestle, and they would have like 2-minute matches on TV. So the joke would be like their entrances were longer than the
actual match. Yeah.
And there was one match on TV that like went literally like a minute. Like it was on Raw, it went a minute. And this hashtag that Manny's talking about sort of caught fire, and it was called Give Divas a Chance. Because people were getting really annoyed at the fact that like there was Raw and SmackDown, which was the main roster of television shows. Mm-hmm. And then there was NXT, which was this development thing that they were putting on the WWE network.
And doesn't Triple H spearhead that?
Triple H spearheaded that. and
For
they
now.
were having. Oh, he's got spearhead for. But they were having these like 20-minute matches. These amazing and
Like women's wrestlers.
the women wrestlers were having these like amazing long back and forth 20-minute matches. Am I sounding better now?
Yeah. Sorry, I adjusted your microphone.
But they would have these long 20-minute matches, and that's what sort of like, people, fans were like, wait, hold on. So on this side of the company, they're giving these women characters and matches and storylines, and on this side of the company, they're having like 1-minute matches. Like there was a disconnect between that.
Yeah, where like the top shows aren't giving women wrestlers
The time.
the airtime they deserved.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Raw's
Right.
like a 3-hour show.
Yeah, you
On
can
a
fit in a
3-hour
decent
show,
match
you're
in
giving
there,
the
yeah.
girls like a 1-minute match. It's crazy.
It's nothing.
So, and that'd be one thing if you're like UFC and you knock somebody out in a minute, right? Like it's not predetermined. With wrestling, you can span those things out. So that hashtag became a thing. People were hashtagging it a lot every time the girls had a bad match. And eventually Vince McMahon tweeted out a thing saying, we're listening, stay tuned.
Yeah.
And then it took a while after that too. Basically, they groomed all these girls in NXT and then brought them up to the main roster. And sort of
And you
like,
see it. And you see it now. I mean,
and even then, they were late to the game with that too. This is the problem with wrestling. Is wrestling sometimes is a little. I mean, I should say this another. WB is the main group, right? Everything they do, you basically see as like, oh, they're the guys doing it. But
would you
not.
argue they're more reactive than proactive?
100%.
Yeah. So
100%.
they're reacting to what's going on in the independent world and the smaller promoters and stuff like that.
But even
right?
like at the time that WWE like actually finally pushed this quote unquote like women's evolution, which is what they called it, or women's revolution at the time. Serena Williams was like is the biggest thing in tennis.
Still is.
Ronda Rousey was fucking killing it in the UFC.
Is she gonna continue in the
No,
WWE or not? Or is she done?
I don't know. She's trying to get pregnant now, so
she's trying to have a
taking some
family.
time. She's taking
Okay.
some time off.
Sorry to
But
bring
like-
it up. Change the topic.
No, but you know what I mean. Like the women being successful in other sports and
Right,
literally
yeah.
being the faces of those sports. So WWE was like way late on that, even though they could have done it earlier and just been like, it could have been massive, right?
But like, it goes back to the whole thing of they are more reactionary than proactive.
Yeah,
As,
and
sorry,
there were other
reactive
wrestling
than
companies who
proactive,
had
right?
been like being more proactive about it. There was a company called Impact. Oh, there's a company called we talked about them last week.
Yeah, TNA, Impact, and all that.
Impact.
Yeah.
They had a Canadian wrestler named Gail Kim, who used to be at WWE and actually left WWE because she wasn't getting like the opportunity to wrestle. She hated it so much that the one time she was on WWE TV, they were having like a battle royal, like a Royal Rumble type of thing,
Right.
and she just eliminated herself.
Just because it was that
And
bad.
nobody noticed. She did it on TV. And she got in no trouble in the back when she went back.
Because no one even noticed.
Yeah.
Nope.
And so she ended up quitting. She went to TNA. She actually went to TNA, went back to WWE, did that whole thing.
Yeah.
But her first run in TNA, she faced Awesome. She had this huge rivalry with Awesome Kong, who's Kia Stevens from Glow,
Who plays Welfare Queen.
who was
Queen.
Welfare Queen, and they had this amazing back and forth, and people were like, "Holy shit! Like the women are wrestling and getting like equal time as the guys and stuff." And they've been very good with keeping that going,
Right.
and then sometimes reverting back to sort of like the old sexy wrestler thing, and then going back again.
What about WCW? What did WCW do for women's wrestling?
Nothing.
Absolutely.
They didn't do
nothing.
much.
Okay. If I'm,
Yeah.
I mean, they had
Like-
had a lot of stars who were women. But
mean,
they were mostly like
yeah.
valets
either
and
I
stuff.
can, yeah. Because do you guys remember a female wrestler? Well, I don't know if she was a wrestler or not. Scary Sherry.
She wasn't a wrestler. She was a valet.
She was a valet, and then she became.
But
the
she could
sensational
wrestle.
Sherry.
Sherry Martel, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Sherry
Sherry
Martel.
Martel.
Yeah, she
She's-
could wrestle. She
do I
was.
remember her? Every time Shawn Michaels comes out, you hear her, man. She's the
Yeah, that's her.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Fact of the day. Right?
No, but like Scary Sherry, and funny enough, she was called Scary Sherry. I was actually afraid of her.
Scary Sherry was a fucking attractive woman without that.
No, I know, but I was afraid of her as a kid. I
you know-
remember that. I distinctively remember being afraid of Scary Sherry. That's
you
like
know,
one of my first memories of wrestling.
I do feel bad though, because the last thing now she has passed away.
Yeah.
One of the things that I did hear was that in the last few years of her life, she was just selling a lot of memorabilia just to pay for a lot of the pills that she needed.
I hate to say that, but I feel like that's.
Sorry,
Bless
I'm
you.
dying in the corner.
Are you all right there?
Yeah, I don't know. Something got me in my nose.
Oh no, Manny, what'd you do to him?
He's allergic to me.
Nah, I don't doubt that.
He's allergic to pure sexiness.
Gross. Do you need a second there, Dwayne?
Yeah, I'll get back to it. Just keep talking.
Okay. I did.
I'll tone down the sexiness.
Please do. I just punched him. This is horrid. But yeah, I mean, with the one thing you mentioned was Glow, and that was a huge. Would you say in the 80s it was? I think, right?
Glow-
Where it sort of came in, and it was this sort of quick promotion that sort of happened, and they didn't really stick around for very long.
No, because at that time in the 80s, no one was taking it seriously. People because promotions like the WWF, they were pushing, like these
The superstars, the men and all that. But what I'm saying, like with Glow, it was arguably the first. Well, it was the first all women's promotion.
Yeah,
and
that didn't focus on sexy valets.
No, don't get me wrong. The women, some of the gimmicks were based off sexy or whatever, and
but they gave the women ample time to wrestle.
But they had beautiful women wrestlers, and then they had women who could really wrestle.
Yes,
right, and it was interesting because then you see, because some of them actually did have a history with wrestling in the NWA and all that, as well as some
of them came from like legacy wrestling families.
Exactly. So Glow was huge for women's wrestling, and it sort of really brought them to the forefront. One show that it's very loosely based off of the history of that is the show Glow. Is the actual television, is the Netflix show Glow. Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, which obviously it's very much
romanticized.
Yes, that's a perfect word to use. It's been romanticized to no end, and the gimmicks that are on Glow, it's not a documentary by any stretch.
They're out of this world, but it's meant to entertain. But at the end of the day, though, I mean,
but that's what
every
wrestling is in general, right?
Exactly. Every wrestling promotion is there to entertain, dating back from the times of carnies to to today's like super athletic athletes, right? Who'll do like a standing triple backflip and land on a finger.
But here's the coolest thing, and like to go back to what you and I were saying earlier, and Dwayne sort of clarified on it, was the fact that now in this era, because of that whole thing where they've actually groomed wrestlers as opposed to just getting a model and seeing if she could wrestle, which I think, I'm not 100% sure on this, but Glow may have sort of done the same thing with a handful of their wrestlers that were there. And the Guerreros were huge with Glow because they were the wrestling coordinators on their show and all that stuff. And actually, funny enough, continue to be on the Netflix program, right? But it's crazy to see how much better now women's wrestling is. I mean, look at Charlotte Flair. Look at
Becky Lynch.
And Becky Lynch, sorry,
Becky
the
Lynch
man there. Yeah. Because Becky Lynch is now the current women's champion, right?
Well, one of my favorite wrestlers to watch now, and for some reason WWE is they're kind of burying them, is the Japanese wrestlers Asuka and Kairi Sane. Those two, I mean, they're a tag team right now. They're now, the Kabuki Warriors. Those two on their own, they produce fantastic matches. Even when they were in NXT, they Asuka produced.
Could it be more a factor that the quality of wrestling is great, but they're not great on the mics? Is that because I feel like
they're English. They speak little
exactly
to no English.
Right. It's almost like they need like a valet / a manager there. Almost like a Paul Heyman type, although he's like right next to Brock Lesnar, obviously, right?
Well, you do say that, but and you're right, because their valet is actually former wrestler Paige. That's their valet right now. But as I was saying,
Now,
in NXT though, individually they had a great run as champion, and you didn't really, and yes, their promos weren't the best, but the wrestling spoke for itself. Dwayne, how long was Asuka champion for? Like, how long was her run?
Something like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
She's like undefeated for 2.5 years.
Undefeated. She was absolutely like perfect. Her wrestling was
Right.
Would you say she had that strong style of Japanese wrestling we talked about last week?
Asuka's gonna kill you.
We mentioned a little bit about Glow.
Yeah,
right?
I had to leave
And how,
the room
yeah, I
because
saw
it's kinda
that.
choking.
You weren't doing too good there. Yeah, we started to mention how it was a short-lived thing in the 80s, but it was huge to start off, like people noticing women's wrestling.
Yeah,
although
it was like super gimmicky and shit.
Yeah,
but yeah.
But
It's-
aside from the gimmicks, they had some really talented women wrestlers wrestling for them too, right?
I think like a few, not a lot, but a few.
Yeah.
So wait, what are you talking about Asuka for?
Oh, I was actually talking about how right now, like some of the wrestlers right now, they're not the best. They don't cut the best promos because Asuka and Kairi Sane's their English isn't up to the greatest. But their wrestling spoke for themselves.
Yeah. Well,
And back in the days, back in the days of like the 90s where you would get like a 1 minute match. I mean, there's no way that they would be able to.
I mean, 1 minute matches were in the 2000s.
Oh, okay. And
if you were paying attention to the first half of this podcast, you'd be on
I'm wrong era.
That's kind of a big deal.
Anyways, continuing. You've derailed my train of thought.
That wasn't very hard.
Dwayne, who right now do you think is the most exciting women's wrestler there is? Like pure excitement, someone that's both good on the mic and can hold their own.
Right now it's Becky Lynch. Like Becky Lynch is the fucking biggest superstar in the WWE right now. She's an Irish wrestler. She's gold on the mic. She wrestles well. She's not the best wrestler in the company, but she's definitely she's the biggest star in the company right now.
Joe, what's you said you went with Charlotte.
Did you have a follow-up question?
Yeah,
to that,
did you
or
have
a
anything to
statement
go with
because your
that?
face
Like-
went the other way?
You were so confused.
Well, no, because I actually don't think she is the best wrestler.
Okay,
I don't
then
think
who
she
do
is
you think is the best women wrestler?
someone that can actually hold themselves on the mic as well as be able to put it up in the ring. I'll go with your opinion earlier of Charlotte Flair.
But Charlotte Flair is not a good promo though.
I think her promos are great. They're to the point. They're exactly, she portrays, the heel character, and she portrays it well, and it's, straight to the point.
I'm not saying I love Charlotte. I'm not saying she's a bad wrestler.
Here's the question: Now the only thing I can compare to realistically is her father's promos. Are they Are they as dynamic as Rick's?
No, they're not. But here's the thing: nobody's going to be dynamic as Rick. Ric Flair is like a once in a fucking generation wrestler.
Fair enough.
Right?
And she's still a second generation.
That's like comparing every new good hockey player to Gretzky.
Fair enough, and that does happen.
Yeah, of course it happens, right? And Charlotte Flair, unfortunately, has the tag of being a Flair, so you're going to get that more often.
So she's going to get that comparison more so.
She's a great heel like her dad. She's an amazing wrestler. An incredible wrestler for somebody who didn't even want to be in wrestling. Up until the time she got into wrestling, she was a volleyball player. She was in college and stuff. Rick's other son, Reed, was a wrestler. He was the youngest of all the kids, I think. And he passed away of a drug overdose. I want to double check that before I say it out loud. But in 2003 in Japan. And Charlotte and Reed were very close. And so she decided to do the wrestling thing as sort of an honor, like sort of honoring his memory.
Honoring him, yeah.
And she says it all the time. But like, that's the only reason she got into wrestling. And she's fucking phenomenal at it.
Well, it's those Flair genes too.
There's an older Flair boy who was not very good.
Is it?
His name is David Flair. But for somebody who's done it for such a short amount of time, are you playing footsie?
It's me. Manny's jealous.
But as somebody who's just recently started doing it, she's fucking excellent, and she's a great wrestler. but she's not great on the mic.
I think she's great on the mic.
Oh, hot take.
Seen like 3
All right,
watches SmackDown once every year. Comes out with the thing.
Okay, what about other women in wrestling too? Like, what are your opinions? Because I will say I feel like Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair are the top 2 right now in wrestling.
Yes.
Right. So go further down the line too. Like,
who would you say right now fits in that criteria where they took a good-looking model type girl and tried to train her to be a wrestler? Does Lana wrestle, or
she does? She's not great.
She's not a great wrestler, but she's still
she's a phenomenal manager. Her and her husband have like a thing together. Like they would come out together.
Happy Rusev Day.
Happy Rusev Day.
It's glorious of Rusev days.
Do you remember all those promos he did? Like those.
Anyways, let's try to stick with women's wrestling. Sorry.
Oh, he did like a bunch of.
Who's he? Pronouns.
Rusev.
Happy Rusev Day.
Yes. He did a bunch of like postcards.
No.
I feel like you're making this up.
I'm not making this up. I think you're the one that sent it to me.
Sent you a postcard?
Yeah, it was like different him in different scenarios, like barbecuing, Happy Rusev Day. I'll find it. I'll remember it.
Okay.
Oh, Dwayne, this actually goes back to what we were saying before the show, because we were talking about Glow and how that one character, Carmen, Machu Picchu, is loosely based off of the wrestler Emily Dole, who was known as Mount Fiji, and she was a huge,
awesome,
a huge character for them.
I just got it, Mount Fuji and
Machu Picchu. Yeah, that's the whole. That's the whole thing. Right?
I got it.
Yeah, so they're loosely based, and she was apparently very.
She looks very much like her.
Yes,
the girl that they got to wrestle.
Yeah, the girl that they get to that plays Carmen looks very much. It has a very similar sort of look to a young Emily Dole.
We should try and get like before and afters, because a lot of the like you guys talked about, a lot of the Glow cast is built to look like the actual Glow wrestlers.
To look like somebody from that, from that show. Yeah, she was. She wrestled with them for a good long time. Like basically, I think she was with Glow the whole run.
Yeah, she was. She was actually like a proper wrestler too. Like I think.
Yeah, she was one of the few.
Glow did a lot of that, like getting actors and models to like and teaching them how to wrestle, but they were obviously athletic and stuff. But I think she came from a wrestling background.
And like I even said that with Mania, they did go out of their way to try to find a handful of proper wrestlers.
Well, I think like we've discussed this too. It's if you it's hard, man. Wrestling is hard. Like you will hurt yourself if you don't know how to do it properly. And there are tons of like wrestling schools where people who are in amazing shape can't continue doing it because they either hurt their back or they hurt their and then they're kind of done in that particular field. The girl that the woman that Manuel was talking about, Paige, if you've seen the movie Fighting for My Family, it's based on her life.
Fighting with my family or whatever.
With my family, Fighting for my family, one of the two. But
isn't that produced by the Rock's production company?
It's produced by the Rock's production
and
company
WWE.
And WWE.
Yeah.
But that movie is sort of a weird, historically inaccurate biopic of her life. But that girl, when she signed with WWE, she was 18, and she comes from a wrestling family. There's a documentary of the same name.
Was it John Goodman, her father, in the movie?
No, man. It's the guy from Hot
Simon
Fuzz.
Pegg.
No, it's not Simon Pegg. The
no,
other guy.
Fuck.
What's his name?
I hate myself for not knowing this dude's name. Anyways, but
I'm sure it's John Goodman.
Dude,
it's not John Goodman. Just because, dude, not everybody is John Goodman. There's only one.
He's still gonna fight with us about this.
He's giving
Nick Frost.
Yes, that's who it is.
Oh, that's not John Goodman at all.
Okay.
No, because he's British. John Goodman is
Everybody
not British.
in that movie who wasn't American was British.
Exactly.
British John Goodman. Anyways, going forward.
No, man. Like,
are you annoying John Goodman right now?
Like, I have to ask, because this is not the first time on the show you've mentioned John Goodman. What's with the hard on for John Goodman?
He doesn't know any other actors.
I do know. Someone said I look like John Goodman.
Not recently. He's lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, he looks great.
Have you seen The Righteous Gemstones?
No, I haven't.
It's fucking good. It's weird, but it's good.
All right, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah. All right, what else about John Goodman, man?
Yeah, man.
That's it. That's it. I just
stop talking. Like,
That's it. I have nothing else. I've given you my answer. I'm a clear cut.
you're not in the Philippines anymore. You can't blame bad connection.
No, I'm a clear
Why your
cut.
brain doesn't work.
You can't blame an election.
An election?
Yeah.
Yeah, you blamed an
I
election.
can't show up today. The internet's bad because there's an election in town.
Oh yeah, that's when I fought with the senator.
Oh yeah, tell that story. I want you to tell that story
no,
now.
No.
Because we'll tell that story if you're
No,
not
it has
gonna
nothing
do
to
it.
do with it right now. We'll tell that
What
story.
does John Goodman have to do with anything? You still brought that
No,
up.
brought John Goodman up.
No, I did not bring. Okay, yes, I did, but it was in relation. But anyways, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, go back to
texting.
Paige and Fighting with My Family.
No, so she was signed at 18.
Yeah.
And she was sort of one of the first people to start like this good female wrestler thing in WWE. But she had a neck injury about 2 years ago, had it fixed, came back, was in a house show match, simple, like a regular move, and she got fucked in the neck again, and essentially has retired at 25. Right?
That's a shame.
Yeah.
It was her birthday recently, so I think she's like 26 or 27 now. And she went in to get like checked, and her doctor was like, "Well, we're gonna have to do another neck surgery
Oh
on you
my god.
because you have the neck of a 60-year-old."
How the fuck?
Yeah,
Wrestlers, they get their their neck becomes fused. I believe that's the term, right?
well, they fuse your neck
Yeah.
for the surgeries because you just
Yeah.
fall on it so much, right? You fall on your neck and your back a lot, so but they're in such great shape that they knock on wood, don't get paralyzed or whatever.
Yeah.
But wrestling's hard, and that's the thing. Like when you bring like models and stuff into it, people who don't know, and it happens to the guys too. They bring these good-looking guys who are jacked, and they're just bodybuilder types,
And they don't know how to wrestle.
They don't know how to
or anything
wrestle.
Like that. Yeah.
There's
They
danger.
either injure themselves or they injure
Yeah.
injure others.
But I think what Manny, just going back to the question you mentioned before, Manny, you were talking about like what models have they brought into WWE that have done like a good enough job wrestling. Mandy Rose is one that they have right now who was a model prior, and she's learning how to wrestle, and she's actually getting pretty good.
Right.
But it's an attitude thing, right? I think if you're like into it, and I think and that was the sad part with all the girls like in the 2000s where they had the sort of like energy to wrestle and learn to wrestle. They just didn't get the time to show it.
Yeah.
So the
And
fans sort of shit on it, right?
And that goes back again to Gail Kim.
Yeah, but she was a wrestler. Gail Kim wasn't a model. Gail Kim was a wrestler. Like, you'd go around in town in Toronto if you see, like, I saw her wrestle at the X. She's wrestled in town before. She was never a model. She was a good-looking girl, but she was always a wrestler first.
I'm not gonna lie. The one wrestler I have the biggest crush on, Nia Jax.
Oh, Nia Jax is a babe.
Oh, she's gorgeous.
Anna's fucking got a big crush on her.
I've got a crush on her. I didn't realize this, but she was born in Sydney.
Yeah, but she's from a wrestling family too, though.
No, she's
Samoan, right?
She's Rocky's cousin,
she's a wrestler. She's. I feel like if you were from that part of the world, you have a relation to Dwayne Johnson.
Unless you're Samoa Joe, he's the only
Samoan wrestler
that related to anybody. But
I kind of want to find out if Mount Fiji was related to The Rock now, because she was a Samoan wrestler.
I think there's a bunch of wrestlers. Like, it's funny. There's that whole Samoan side of the thing is insane. How many? And now even The Rock's daughter's wrestling. Like, learning to wrestle.
his oldest daughter's learning to wrestle?
Yeah, she's signed up with the WWE Performance Center.
Nice.
She's learning, so
Her and
That's
Dominic are going to have the
amazing.
first match.
fuck Dominic. Okay, like I would say Becky Lynch is like The Rock. The Rock was never a great wrestler, but he was a great promo. Becky Lynch is a great promo. Like, she's a fucking clever girl. She thinks on her feet.
She's the man.
She's completely changed her character from when she first came around.
Oh yeah, she came from that steampunk.
Yeah.
Edge said you ripped off my gimmick.
Yeah.
Speaking of Edge, that was awesome seeing him.
Spear somebody on SummerSlam?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was kind of scary, but I haven't seen him do a wrestling move in forever. He's another guy. He's fucked up his neck.
Yeah.
He's got stenosis,
Shit.
which is what Paige has, and which is what current WWE wrestler Sheamus has.
That's right.
Didn't Daniel Bryan have something like that too, or was his a little
Daniel Bryan's thing was he was getting he had concussion issues.
Okay.
And then a misdiagnosis had him retired for like 2 years.
Yeah, he was out of the game for a while, right?
Yeah. And now he's back and fucking amazing. He's just so much fun to watch.
He is. Going like if we're talking about injuries and some of the older wrestlers and everything in that sense. Recently watching Trish Stratus wrestle at SummerSlam.
Yeah, she came back.
She came back amazing.
Promo. But to wrestle
she
Charlotte.
looked great. In my opinion, she looked great. Charlotte Flair did carry the match a bit.
No, but Trish Stratus has always been in shape. She knows how to like keep. I mean, she's one of the big things with her. She hurt her back, and she started doing yoga, and that sort of like helped her career again. Helped her stay in the game for as long as she did back then. And
open a yoga studio here in Toronto.
This is the yoga studio, Stratosphere Yoga, and she's also like she's always sort of her whole thing. She went to school for like kinesiology. She was a fitness model, like so all that stuff she's used all that stuff to like stay in shape. She was never really like, you see people leave wrestling and come back, men and women, and they sort of like, it's the athlete thing, right?
You're a lot of athletes. What it is, we actually know a guy who used to be a professional athlete. We used to play soccer with him, Paul.
Yes.
He was, believe, a professional soccer player in Barbados. But anyways, he once said to me about it, he goes, you get so used to having this high caloric intake that you continue it sometimes after you've stopped working out. So that's why, a lot of professional athletes will, if they're not careful, balloon and gain so much weight after they've retired because they've just gotten so used to this high amount of calories they have to take in to keep, their bodies fueled.
I'm going to use that excuse going
You're not a
forward
professional athlete. You're not a professional athlete, so that won't work.
Don't you take this away from me, Giuseppe.
I just did.
First of all, it's Giuseppe. Second of all, professional athlete. You may have athlete's foot. That doesn't make you an athlete.
My feet are quite clean, thank you.
Let's not talk about your
eat
feet.
with them.
That's disgusting.
How? Oh, of course the first thing you go to attack me with is I can eat with them.
I wouldn't put you as to being that flexible.
Just because you had your feet in some Filipino girl's mouth doesn't
It's gross. That's gross. I can never understand how the foot fetish is a thing, honestly. Never.
Gross.
I'm serious. I don't understand.
So
do you have a foot fetish, Joe? Are you a foot fetish guy?
Joe's got a lot of weird fetishes.
There's so much Joe needs to cut from this episode.
That's good. I mean, okay, so you were saying Trish came back and she did really, and that it's because she's taking care of herself and fucking amazingly considering the 2 kids and not wrestling this whole time. She actually comes back and looks
like an athlete still, right?
very close to what she looked like when she left.
Yeah.
And the match with Charlotte was fucking amazing. It was probably the best Trish Stratus match ever.
Which kind of makes you sad to think about how many matches there could have been if WWF had pushed this women's division a lot earlier, and how many potential.
But see, the
again,
thing is,
listening to the first half of this podcast will help you. The era that Trish Stratus was in was fine. They were pushed. Trish Stratus and Lita even main evented Raw. They were the first women to do that.
Yes.
Charlotte's one is being pushed. She's main evented Raw. She's main evented pay-per-views. So what part are you sad about?
No, I'm saying no. Like you said, there was Trish and Lita, and you named them a bunch of other high-profile female wrestlers. But now there's a lot of female wrestlers, not just in WWE, but in NXT and all. In TNA.
Are you saying?
Let me finish.
Sorry, go ahead.
In all these other promotions where women's wrestling is being pushed a lot more, as to previously where it wasn't being pushed, only a select few were being pushed. Now, almost a lot of there's a lot more females that are being pushed. So it kind of makes you wonder who could have came up, who could have been benefited from that from the earlier days.
I would argue that they all have. Now, are you trying to say because now didn't they recently have the first all women's pay-per-view event where every match was
It was top to bottom.
It was top to bottom
pay-per-view.
the entire the women's division, and
it's the first one for WWE.
Yeah,
Yeah, they've
right.
done it at other. They've done it in other places.
But
WWE.
again, and it also goes back to like you are trying to stick with what which is the WWE, and there's nothing wrong with that. But Dwayne even mentioned it earlier that the WWE has this wonderful knack of being reactive as opposed to proactive for certain things. And women's wrestling just happens to be one of them. That's not to say they haven't had women's wrestling throughout their entire history. It's just...
I think like what Manny was saying is like, I guess what you're trying to say at least is like what would have happened if they had been doing this with the last generation of girls, like the Divas?
Yeah.
Okay. But that point doesn't stand to the match that just happened.
Okay.
Right? Because the match that just happened had the two leading women for both the generations that actually got pushed and had storylines built around them and had characters built around them.
Yes, what you said.
Yeah. You fucking dick. You're not even listening.
I am listening to everything you said. It's exactly what you said.
My next question is Alexa Bliss wrestling still, or she's
still wrestling. She's the women's tag team champion.
Okay, right, she's wrestling again because the last I heard she was injured for a while.
She was. She had like concussion stuff going on.
Yeah,
and she's another one I would put maybe on top there as well with Becky Lynch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. With her promos. Yeah.
Yeah, she's great on the mic. She's decent enough wrestler. They don't give her the opportunity sometimes to show that because she's a heel. They don't sometimes show how like decent she is. But she's someone who I don't think. There's this whole thing of like WWE had these like they call themselves the 4 horsewomen, and it was Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, Bailey, and Becky Lynch, and they were all supposed to be like the sort of faces of the company at some point, and they're all amazing. But then there were these other girls who were sort of around them who maybe didn't get so much of the shine, and Alexa was one of them, but she sort of has pushed her way to the top by like being fucking clever.
Well, she's pretty cool, and she's got a pet pig, which I love because I follow her on
Larry.
Instagram.
Larry Steve. That fucking thing might be bigger than her. He's huge.
All right. Quick thing.
Matches with her and Strowman.
Now, you guys are definitely bigger wrestling fans than I. Let's do a quick top 5. Each of your top 5s. Top 5 women wrestler, obviously based off of your opinions, and we'll go with Manny. Sure. Let's go with Manny's thoughts first, and then we'll go with Dwayne, who is much more of an expert.
All right, grease up the wheel because that gerbil's gonna go into overdrive.
Oh dear!
It's a long way. It's a long way from the chair to your head. For everybody else, it's a hamster. You said gerbil.
What's the difference? I don't know. But anyways,
Richard Gere. Anyways,
and now creepy Uncle Matty
talking about women.
Oh no!
I think we should skip me after
what
that.
Have I done?
Can I include ballets as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
So, number 5, I'm actually gonna go with Sasha Banks. She actually, to me, she is definitely someone that has been. She's there, but lately she hasn't been. But she has definitely, Dwayne's laughing. And she's kind of, and I think that
she's
in the biggest storyline women's thing right now.
No. But before she wasn't. No, before she took a long. Hold on. She took a long hiatus.
Yeah.
Okay. For whatever reason, she was away.
She literally came back in Toronto.
Yeah, she only came back 2 weeks ago. But no, she was off for a long hiatus.
So she made her return recently, is what you're saying. Okay.
Number 4, I'm gonna go with Alundra Blaze, and her Medusa character, simply because of that one moment that we talked about it when we were talking about the
when
NWO,
she throws out the WWE belt.
Exactly. Do you know that she now does a lot of monster truck driving?
Fuck yeah.
That's actually really fucking cool.
Yeah. Isn't it her monster truck named Medusa?
Yeah, I think so.
I wouldn't doubt that. I hope so, anyways.
Yeah. Number 3, I mean, even though I'm going to still go with the man.
Becky Lynch?
Yes. Okay. Oh my God, I spaced out on her name. Okay, I'm going to go with her, right? I mean, she is simply amazing. Everything she has been doing, the way that she pushes herself.
And she's the current champion right now, right?
She's the current women's champion on Raw.
Yes.
On SmackDown, it's Bailey.
Okay.
Yeah. Number 2,
Remember, this is all time.
Yeah,
Valets as well.
So far, you've stayed in like
the same era.
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually gonna go with switch my number 3, my number 2. And
No,
3
no,
with
okay,
the Fabulous Moolah.
Really? To number 2?
Yeah, the Fabulous Moolah.
Fabulous Moolah.
Yeah.
What about Fabulous Moolah?
She's just one of the few people that you actually remember seeing. They were one of the
OGs.
Yes, thank you. One of the OGs. And yes, wait.
What is with the face, Dwayne?
Because the Fabulous Moolah, there's a big scrutiny around her.
What is with the face?
There's a big scrutiny around her. They actually needed to change the name of the Rumble, right? But you do have to admit, though, I mean, she did make an impact on wrestling, unfortunately, for negative reasons.
What happened? Okay,
she was basically running a bordello.
Dwayne?
Yeah, there's a lot of stories about.
Yeah, Moolah. She was running.
No wonder you chose her to be your favorite.
No.
There's basically a lot of stories about her being
a madam.
Yeah, basically a madam. Like,
oh dear,
you couldn't. And sort of having. It's weird. These things came out very recently, at least to me and to a lot of people.
No wonder she's one of Manny's faves.
No, she's. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like prolific, right? She is. I mean, you.
Yeah, she was the longest reigning WWF women's champion.
So she's a pioneer in women's wrestling. Aside from her
but she was bad. But she was that because.
Yeah.
She was that because of all that stuff.
Of all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Really?
In fact, her losing the I think her losing that belt or her losing. Oh, I gotta get this. You guys talk about this because you guys talk about because I'm gonna double check.
It was her and / Mae Young. Both of them
are those?
Are
you tying those for your number 2?
Those are the 2 OGs, right?
Okay, so you're going with the originals for that.
And my number 1 was going to be Miss Elizabeth.
Really?
The valet. Yeah.
Well, what was it about Miss Elizabeth to you? That she was the prettiest woman in wrestling at one point.
She definitely was. But it's just she was one of the first women that I actually saw get involved in a storyline. Like I remember her distinctively slapping Hulk Hogan.
But here's my thing, and wasn't that whole character / gimmick or whatever, was it almost like she was a damsel in distress throughout her whole time? Or
I didn't see her like that. I saw her more as I just saw her always as I didn't see her in that character. I just saw her someone that was always with Macho Man, someone that always stood beside them, when through tough and bad, that she was, his rock.
Not as Dwayne Johnson.
No, that was, although Macho Man, did you like Macho Man's promos?
Oh fuck, man! Everybody loved Macho Man's promos.
Yeah. It's the Macho Man.
Oh yeah.
We definitely have to post at some point. We're gonna have to post that promo with him with the creamers.
We are gonna have to post it.
Fine, I'll do it. Cream of the crap.
Guy who's fucking on his phone all the time suddenly forgets how to use Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Anyways, Dwayne, did you get to your actual what you were sort of trying to research?
There's a story. I actually haven't
sort of brush through what you know, and then.
Well, this is the thing. I don't know who screwed who. So there's the original. There's a thing about
Brett screwed Brett.
Well, say there's a thing. People always refer to it as the original screw job, which is, I believe, Wendy Richter, who was sort of the rising WWE Women's Champion in the 80s. Just this really good-looking girl. She looked very sexy, all the stuff. And it had her wrestle a match against like a masked wrestler. And the masked wrestler wasn't supposed to win the match and pinned her and won the belt.
Would you say it was like...
It was like Brett's thing.
Yeah.
It was exactly like... That's what I mean when they say original screw job.
Yeah.
And they pinned her, and then the masked wrestler took off the mask and it was Moolah.
Oh, dear.
And I'm almost certain that's how that story goes. And then Wendy Richter basically never wrestled for WWE after that.
Really?
Yeah. So now I may be telling that story in a Manny kind of way, so I'll double check it.
We'll double check it and then we'll get it out.
Week,
yeah. Okay, now to your top 5. What are you showing, Manny?
Show me a picture of Asuka. I like how you were just like. I like how Manny was just like, yeah, Charlotte is the best wrestler of this generation.
And she's not even in his top 5.
And he named 6 women.
6 women in the generation,
Yeah.
right? You fucking goofball.
Who are you pointing at?
Manny, put your pants back on and stop jerking off to pictures of Asuka. It's
Asuka's
inappropriate.
gorgeous, yes.
But just don't do it in this room.
Where's the sign?
You don't need a sign.
It's got decency.
It's implied, you son of a bitch.
God damn it.
I don't see a sign saying don't jerk off.
Where are you going that there are signs that say don't jerk off?
Obviously places that need signs.
Oh my god.
You know, Joe, you know how last week you helped fix Manny's toilet?
Yeah.
And there was quote unquote glue on the washroom?
Yeah. No, please. I'm gonna
Was there a sign?
I'm gonna hope
Was there a sign at his house by the washroom that said don't jerk
I'm gonna
off?
hope it's glue, and I'm leaving it at that.
You think that there was just randomly somebody dropped glue on the washroom?
I'm hoping.
How unhealthy do you think I am?
Let's
You
not
have a
play
gerbil up your ass to help you think about women wrestling.
I said brain. Get to your goddamn 5. Kind of want to tickle his belly.
this. Gerbil up your ass.
Go for it.
Don't you fucking touch me. Don't.
Where's the sign?
That's assault.
How have you not been fired for sexually assaulting somebody at your office?
You literally just tried to sexually assault me.
It's
Go on.
Oh, gross. Okay, let's go
okay.
to Dwen's top 5.
All right. This is kind of tough, but Miss Elizabeth, number 5.
All right.
For sure.
You're putting her down there, eh?
Jesus, man. Yeah, well, she wasn't a wrestler, but
She was a valet.
she was a valet, but she was a very fucking good. Basically, every valet was sort of based around her.
Okay.
And she's like one of the few valets. Why
Why are you squeezing your titty?
Why did you just?
What is going on?
swiping the wet off my shit.
I'm swiping the wet.
You guys are making me get
Squeezing
tongue-tied.
his titty.
Did you hear what he said? He said, "I'm swiping the wet."
No,
Are you lactating?
I'm wiping the
Are you
sweat
fucking
off
lactating?
my hands. Grr.
Don't touch me. You're the worst. Fucking titty squeezer over here. Squeezing his own titties.
God damn it, who's number 4, Dwayne?
Well, let me finish why I liked Elizabeth.
Finish your point on Elizabeth,
Miss
please.
Elizabeth, well, here's the thing. Oh, God.
Every time his hand moves, I
I
get
know, it's
nervous.
so scary.
I'm fucking frightened right
How the
now.
hell can we do an episode about women when we have a fucking Me Too?
I am not. No.
Hashtag Me Too.
No,
Get the
no,
fucking
no.
Harvey
Human-
Weinstein of our podcast.
Human
Wow,
embodiment
wow.
of Me Too walking around.
Okay, I think we have to cut that section.
No, that's staying,
Yeah, that's
Harvey.
getting cut.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. We'll cut it if you edit the episode.
Okay. So let's.
Okay.
So, Miss Elizabeth was just like. I think Miss Elizabeth was sort of the first female in WWE that like kids, male and female, could kind of get behind. Like
Right.
it wasn't like she wasn't overly sexy or it wasn't in your face sexy
So,
that all the sort of other valets.
The fact that you mentioned that, I was listening to I listen to Q107 Network,
Yeah.
which is a radio station here in Toronto, and the host of the morning show happened to go on because they have a big wrestling fan. It was around the time of SummerSlam, like it was the week
Right.
leading up to it, and they mentioned, and Miss Elizabeth was mentioned, and all three of the guys were like, yeah. Miss Elizabeth woke up a few things in me. Like, Manny, stop looking at me like that.
I also know she was like beloved amongst all the other like wrestlers, wrestling people. She was just very sweet and very nice. So like that was always a good plus.
Right.
Okay. Number 4.
Number 4.
I would say number 4 would be oh damn, this is actually kind of tough now that I go to number 4.
My number 4 was Alundra Blaze.
Yeah, no,
If that
Alundra
helps.
Blaze is good. I see that I didn't watch enough Alundra Blaze to be like a massive fan of
This
hers.
isn't Manny's list. This is
No.
your list.
But I'm saying why
Yeah.
she wouldn't be on my list. But if I were to throw somebody in there, that number 4, it would probably be Lita.
Oh,
Really?
shit.
Lita would be my number 4, and generally I put Lita up a lot higher. But I think this generation of women that are in wrestling now are probably going to take a lot of the top spots because of where they are. But
In terms of quality of wrestler?
everything.
Yeah.
Everything. But, okay, so, yeah, Lita. Because I don't think you had, like, a super... Like, people kind of forget because of all the stuff that sort of happened later on in her career with
Right.
her relationship with Edge and Matt Hardy
And all that
stuff.
and all that business.
Like, she was an amazing, amazing high-flying woman wrestler.
No, I remember her doing all that high flying shit,
Who had
right?
traveled around the world and, like, had this really, like, you know, not conventionally good-looking, like, you know, what you think of when they put, like, wrestlers out there, you know, blonde and blah, blah, blah. Like, she was kind of a badass.
Well, I think because weren't there
She kind of
storylines where
reminded
her
me of the girl from that '70s show.
Oh, Donna?
Yeah.
wouldn't you sort of didn't they sort of market her as like Trish Stratus's rival?
She was always Trish Stratus.
Right,
But
so-
they're, like, best friends in real life.
Right, but I guess that's how they sort of worked that out too, right? The fact that she's
I really should mention this. I actually met both Lita and Trish at New York Comic Con last year.
Nice. Do you have a picture?
No, I don't have any pictures. I saw them in the parking lot. Wow. Okay. Wow. Hold on.
She's an embodiment of me, too.
Wow, that made me sound really
Too
bad.
late.
No,
Anyways.
creepy. Uncle.
cool.
Christian was there too.
Manny.
Christian was there
that's
too.
not helping.
Yeah. So I think that was her big deal, was that she was just, like, so different from any... Even now, there's not many, like, high-flying wrestling female athletes like they were back in the day.
Well, there's I keep forgetting her name. The Japanese wrestler,
Kairi Sane.
Asuka. Yeah, isn't she one of those type of wrestlers?
Asuka's not really a high flyer. Kairi Sane is.
Kairi
that you
Sane,
talked
okay.
about.
She does the Macho Man elbow.
She does the Macho Man elbow. She does one of the fucking most beautiful.
I think I just
Swantons?
happened to watch
No.
like one Asuka match where she actually does a high flying
flip,
move.
like the flip.
Moonsault?
Moonsault. She does a very beautiful moonsault. So yeah, okay. So Lita,
Asuka will kick the shit out of you.
Asuka will kick the shit out of you. It's fucking amazing.
Look at that grin.
3. I'd say Trish here.
Trish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'll change that back. I'll go Becky Lynch on this one.
Becky Lynch at
I
number
think
3.
Becky Lynch at number 3. Only because I think Becky Lynch's thing is she's a good wrestler. She's a great wrestler. She's traveled around the world. She's one of those fascinating fucking stories
Right.
of wrestlers, you know. But I think she's a fucking great promo. A great character. Like, she builds a great character.
But what puts her on number 3 for you?
Is that, you know, there's a thing of like wrestling is more than just being a good wrestler.
Right.
It's having a good character. It's connecting with the crowd. It's like having that it factor.
So you're saying those things put her higher on the list.
Yes.
And her wrestling ability.
I think she's a good wrestler, but like you know, when she wrestles Charlotte, it's good and it's great. And sometimes she's not had the opportunity to wrestle many great wrestlers. They don't put her in that kind of situation.
Okay,
But I think she's a very good. She's 3 only because of the way I'm going to build my list.
Right,
Like,
okay.
Because I have to put a number to it. Like I
Right,
wouldn't
yeah.
ever fucking if somebody would have told me like, oh yeah, she's the 3rd. You know, she's only 3rd best on your list. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, not at all. Like, you know,
Twins gonna get curb stomped later.
fuck. Yeah.
I'll welcome it.
He's being such a mark, and I love it.
2 would be Trish Stratus.
Okay.
And Trish Stratus is on number 2.
Hometown girl.
Hometown girl. And Trish Stratus number 2 because again, in the 1, she was part of a group of people that made women's wrestling important at a time when it wasn't all that important.
Which her and Lita were huge on that.
Her and Lita and a bunch of other girls. in that.
Jazz.
Molly Holly, Victoria. Like they made.
I miss Molly Holly. I really liked her.
Molly Holly apparently, from everything I've heard, is a fucking sweetheart.
I remember her matches. She was a great wrestler.
Beth Phoenix, who is who is a great women's wrestler, Hall of Fame WWE wrestler, and Edge's wife, when she won her, when she did her Hall of Fame speech, she mentioned that she's from Buffalo, and she wanted to go get into wrestling school, but she didn't have the money, and Molly Holly didn't know her,
Right.
and paid for her wrestling school.
That's amazing.
Like there's cool little stories like that. So, you know, in terms of women that like, I bring Trish Stratus up because she was my favorite female wrestler of that time.
Hometown girl.
Hometown girl and fucking Trish Stratus. Like, I remember Trish Stratus on Off the Record the first time she got there, which is like this Canadian talk show, sports talk show. You love Michael Ansberg.
Fucking Michael.
But she was on that show, and she was so good on that show. And I remember watching her and telling one of my friends, "This chick should be a wrestler." Like, she's just built like a wrestler. Because her whole thing was, when she decided to become a fitness model, she was going to school for kinesiology.
Right, yeah.
York University went on strike, is what they're prone to do.
I think they're on strike now.
They're always on strike.
But
York is a university here in the in the Greater Toronto
that is
area,
constantly on
and
fucking
they
strike.
are always going through labor issues.
Yeah. So she was going to kinesiology. She was in kinesiology. She was going to become a doctor, a sports doctor. They went on strike. She got offered the chance to be in a bodybuilding muscle magazine. Muscle Mag is what it was called.
Oh, that's crazy. You know, I just dawned on me, but my uncle's brother could have been her professor at York.
Maybe. And he
was one of the kines professors.
And because she knows she was learning about kinesiology, she decided to work out, but to sort of focus her bodybuilding to make her body look like superheroes in comic books.
Yeah.
So if you look at Trish Stratus in like her early days, the way she was built was very much like how you would see a comic book superhero. And then, you know, there's all that, and then she gets into wrestling. She's not very good at it at first, and she gets really good at it. And then she sort of becomes this face of this division. Now, she's a good-looking girl and all that, but there was more to it. She got better with her promos. She got better with her wrestling. She started like becoming a little
just
bit
a constant improvement.
It was a constant improvement. It was a constant goal. And it was really something like, you know, there was a certain point where WWE was like very just like gratuitous, sexual-looking women.
Well, yeah.
And you could lump Trish in with that group, but you could really see how that's different now. You know, you could see how she was different from the rest. Because there was like a thing to improve and improve the people around.
Well, would you say the argument could be made that her and I guess Lita to an extent were the beginnings of the new what we're seeing in the current era of
most
wrestling?
Most of the women now who are there talk about them being
the pioneers of the new era,
not even
so
just
to speak.
Pioneers. These were like Becky and not Charlotte per se, but like Becky, and I know Bayley talks about it a lot. They used to watch wrestling. They used to watch Trish and Lita. They wanted to be like them, you know. That's kind of their inspiration for getting into wrestling. Whereas they maybe didn't have that the generation before.
Right.
Sorry, just to interrupt you. Where do you feel Mickie James fits into?
Oh, Mickie James is fucking huge. She is the last of that whole group of like great women.
She was the youngest, right?
I don't know if she was the youngest. I think she's about the same age, maybe a little bit younger than Trish and Lita.
Right.
But Mickie James and Trish, and you know, that's a good point. I forgot about mentioning her. She still works with WWE. Mickie James and Trish had one of the greatest like storyline rivalries.
Right.
Leading into WrestleMania. I think WrestleMania 21.
Okay.
And Trish where Mickie James and Trish were like friends, and Mickie James was like this obsessive fan, and then she was like this obsessive sort of like lesbian fan, and she was stalking her and stuff. It was fucking...
they single white female there.
They single white female there. It was great.
Imagine me and you.
But if like both of them had great hair.
Yeah, you don't have great hair. It doesn't count if you say it yourself.
Oh, you're building heat, son. You're building heat.
But okay, so
have you noticed every time Joe laughs, he goes into gabble randomly?
I'll give honorable mentions. Honorable mentions because I know how to do these.
Are we counting Mickie James as an honorable?
No, I think Mickie James should be in it. Like, look, the six or seven girls that were involved in that initial WWE like launch of the Divas division should be in this list. Like, they should 100% be in this list.
It's just not fair that I've only narrowed it down to 5.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So your honorable mentions
would be Sunny and Sable.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Right? Like, neither of them were...
Manny, put your pants back on.
No.
Please.
Again, where's the sign?
You're going to put a sign, Joe. That's your own fault.
No jerking off.
There's going to be glue everywhere now.
You need something fixed?
Yeah. Hold on. So both of them, no chance in hell would they be on any best wrestlers list.
Right.
Manny's dick popping off.
That was Manny's dick.
Although, have you seen Sunny?
Yeah, look, man. No, have you seen yourself?
Yes.
We've all gained weight since.
No,
dude.
but Sunny's had a lot of problems.
Don't shit on Sunny.
Okay, look,
hope for the best for her.
Can we like
Don't
every time we
shit
talk
on her.
about anything, you decide to bring in the saddest possible point on it?
I know. It's like
I brought up Mickie James. She's great.
Yeah, because you don't know what's going on with her now.
it's like
She's
having your
injured, but
top
she's
5
good.
end with a death.
It's just like, oh, remember Sherry? Yeah, she had to sell pills.
It's like, whoa.
Remember Sunny? Oh, she has had.
She is not going. Things are not going well for her.
Remember Manny? Oh, times have gotten tough for him.
He's back from the Philippines.
Oh,
Gerbil just died.
oh, you fellas, yeah, fellas.
Yeah, Sunny and Sable would be on nobody's like wrestling list, but like, god damn, they were so hot.
Wasn't Sunny like AOL America's most searched woman or something?
Sunny was the most downloaded woman in the world at one point, and she was a fucking terrific manager. She was actually like a real good she wasn't just a pretty face. She was like a good wrestling character.
The Buddy Hollies. She was with the Buddy Hollies, right?
Body Donnas.
Body Donnas. Wow, I fucked that up. The Buddy Donnas.
Yes,
All I was like, was there a gimmick of a Buddy Holly thing? And if it was,
Sparkplug Holly.
And then Sable was like fucking insanely popular during her time, and she was sort of the first Divas champion. Women's champion. They made a belt because she was so damn popular.
Yeah,
you know, she wasn't a great wrestler, but
I actually don't have no memories of her wrestling.
But she sort of like ushered that era of having a belt, and then them eventually. It took a few years. I think it took like 4 years till that belt became important.
Right, because it was the models first, right, sort of thing.
No, it was her. It was her.
They just gave her a belt.
And actually, you know what? I'll throw this one in there because I should have. China should also be in that list because there was a point in time where it was the three of them who were there, and China was sort of the big hulking whatever, but she really got over with the fans when she
first woman in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, first woman in the Royal Rumble.
Now,
what belt did she win?
Women's title.
Didn't it? Okay, I'm thinking something else.
And the Intercontinental title.
Yeah, she won the Intercontinental title.
She won a men's title. Like, she beat one of the guys for a men's title.
You know what? Joni Lauer, China.
Yeah.
I mean, she was a decent wrestler in her day, right?
She was a good wrestler. She was trained by the same guys who trained Triple H, and she was a good wrestler. And she was... I mean, really, that's, again, you can be a great wrestler, but if the crowd doesn't care for you, nothing's going to happen. And people cared about her when she was there. Like, she was really popular at the time. Look, you can look... This will tell you how popular China was. There was a point in time when she first came in that people were like, she was a man. People were like, she looks like a man because she was a bodybuilder and she had the jaw. She had a real, like, strong jaw and stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And then, like most bodybuilders, she ended up getting, like, breast implants because you lose... That's really the first thing that goes when you start working out.
Right, exactly.
And she had a jaw surgery because of something that happened to her, like actually happened to her. And it didn't change her look all that much. She was still like this hulking woman. And then she was so popular that she was on the cover of Playboy. And that was one of the biggest sellers of Playboy ever.
Yeah?
Ever.
I know.
Right?
Great article on page 32.
You can't read.
We know you can't.
Who buys it for the articles?
Manny, I told you to put your pants back on.
Show me the sign. Show me the goddamn sign, Joe.
There's a sign there, but you can't read it, so it doesn't matter.
Show it to me in a pop-up book.
I'm not showing you anything with pop-ups.
It's like that wrestling book. Pop, I'm going to give you like a forearm smash to the face.
I better reread this chapter.
Anyways.
And my number one would be, ironically, because me and him had a fight about this, but Charlotte Flair.
Really?
Yeah, I put my best wrestler number 3 and my thing number 1. And he didn't even put Charlotte Flair on his list.
She would have been my honorable. Well,
you didn't even put her in the honorable mentions, man.
Quiet you.
Charlotte Flair is my number 1 only because if you, again, like I said, didn't want to be a wrestler. Been doing it probably the shortest time of anybody who's in that company who, you know.
Yeah.
But she has a connection with the crowd. Like there's 100% a connection there. She is a Flair. When she's a heel, she's a Flair. Her reactions, everything are very Ric Flair like because she's Ric Flair's daughter.
Would you say she's done a great job of wrestling out of that shadow? Because let's not deny the fact.
Flair has said that she is a better wrestler than he was.
I'm not even just talking about wrestling in general. I'm just talking about like persona and everything like that. Has she done a great job of
It's tough to
of
say.
moving out of the shadow that Ric Flair
It's
cast.
tough to, no,
because
it's kind of tough to say because her character is a sort of like next generation Ric Flair. She comes out, it's the same music. She comes out with the robe. She comes out, she does the woos. She does the chops. You know, she does all the
walk.
She does the walk. She doesn't do the walk as much, but yeah, she does the walk. She does the figure 4 that now they call the figure, like she does a different version of the figure 4 called the figure 8. So a lot of her stuff is like Flair-like.
Isn't some of her robes made out of Flair's old robes?
I think they all are.
Well, I don't know about all of them, but I know for a fact the first WrestleMania she came out in, she wore the robe she wore was made out of the robe that Ric Flair wore at his last WrestleMania.
Right.
Right? But
that had the stinger in it as a sidebar.
Okay, they're Mo. Hey, what?
Barbed wire.
Oh, that's the barbed wire. Yeah, they call that the stinger. They don't let you use that no more.
But
just full of Rolexes.
But I think like if you had to build a female wrestler,
right,
you probably would end up you'd probably end up building Charlotte Flair. Like she's tall, she's athletic, she's good looking, she's like sexy, she's got like the whole sort of like everything you need.
She can be sexy and she can be classy. I'm serious about that.
Why do you think those two things don't intersect?
What are your definitions of sexy and classy?
Yeah. Couldn't you be both at all times?
And on that note,
yeah, but I think Charlotte Flair is just
yes.
The reason why Vince McMahon and the WWE push her whenever they can get a sort of opportunity to do so is because
every other weekend
get the opportunity to do so is because she is the best out of that pack of wrestlers. She is the best out of the group of wrestlers that are there, and she's sort of probably the best wrestler, quote unquote, that they've had in at least 20 years. So, all she has
like
to do is
men and women, would you say?
I'm going out of the women's side. I'll say off the women's side because they've had men who are as good as her.
Okay,
but yeah, I'm saying out of the women, she's definitely the best wrestler that they've had at least for 20 years. And yeah, all she has to do is get better at the promos.
If only she could beat the man, then she would be the man.
No, we already have the man. Her name is Becky Lynch.
That's why I said if only she could beat the man.
She can't.
But to be the man, you gotta beat the man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there I go quoting Ric Flair again.
I know. Too happy about it.
I know. I've realized as I've gotten older, I really, really like the heels more.
I've always liked the heels. I've always been a heel fan. Heels always have the best lines and the best stuff going.
Anyways, friends, anything else you guys want to add to this episode?
I think if you've never watched wrestling before, give it a shot. There's a lot of good wrestling out there, and there's a lot of good, fun wrestling for what your sort of tastes are.
Does the X still do wrestling shows? Because I remember they used to do that.
Yeah, I know. I saw Gail Kim at the X.
Yeah, the exhibition is like basically the annual fair here in Toronto.
Yeah, it's the worst time of the year because it reminds you that the summer's over.
Yeah, which it's currently going on right now. So if you're in the GTA, I'd say check it out.
But I think there's a lot of wrestling that's available for people to watch, and you may have to just like kind of sift through it a little bit.
Right.
But I think you'll find
what you like.
But you'll find what you like. And I think if you kind of give it hopefully if you've listened to any of these episodes and are sort of interested, drop us a line on any of our contact info at the beginning, and maybe I'll suggest a little wrestling for you.
Yeah.
There you go.
Manny, what are your thoughts?
Thoughts?
Yeah, final thoughts.
Oh, that dribble's gone.
Okay, great.
No, my final thoughts, just to kind of add to Dwayne's point, is that if you're not a wrestling fan, or you are a wrestling fan coming back from a hiatus because you didn't like the product previously, there's more promotions going on now than just WWE. There is NXT, which is, you can see it as an
but that is a WWE
branch.
promotion.
It is, but it is run completely different. There's the upcoming AEW. TNA has actually got better. There's even a lot of more independent ones.
TNA is actually called Impact Wrestling.
Impact Wrestling.
Yeah.
Thank you. So there is a lot there for different people to watch. I mean, if you really want to see a lot of the only market that I actually don't seem that there is as much anymore is the hardcore wrestling. Like there isn't that much market for, you know, guys throwing themselves, you know, through like 30 tables and be set on fire. So if that's your thing, you're not going to see much of that. Unless Dwayne can correct me.
It exists, but
Not that big.
it's around.
It's around. It's just not
definitely
as
around.
popular as it once was.
Yeah, probably.
Anyways, guys, thank you again for
But
listening.
what did you learn out of this?
What did I learn out of
You're
this?
the one who's not a wrestling fan.
So much, it's too much to count. I learned that first off, first thing I learned just from this
Just get a
episode
sign?
alone, yes, get a sign, and that women's wrestling has come so far from what it was, specifically in the WWE. I've learned that, you know, there's so much more history in terms of lucha libre with the masks, and each mask has like a specific meaning to that specific wrestler and all that. And I've also learned that about the NWA, which I had no idea was a thing,
And still is a
and
thing.
still is a thing.
By Billy Corgan.
Didn't Billy Corgan also have, or at least try to buy TNA wrestling at one point?
Yep.
Yeah, I learned that in reading stuff.
Billy Corgan, Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah, I learned about the Gold Dust Trio,
Homer Simpson
Smiling Politely. I learned about the Gold Dust Trio and how, you know, wrestling started off in carnivals and all that stuff.
What are you going to take away from this?
Oh, it's just
I don't
nothing
need to
but
know.
good old hardcore fun. Like I said, I'm more of a, I wouldn't say a non-wrestling fan. I've been someone who has been a fan and gone back and forth from in and out of it, so to speak.
Actually, one of the things I would say we should leave out of this, end on this kind of thing, is there's two things. One, check out Instagram. Go check out wrestling art. There's a lot of great people who are making great wrestling art and stuff of wrestlers you probably remember, and they sell it and stuff you can have in your house that looks amazing. And two, look for a wrestling promotion in your city or your town or whatever. Wrestling's best seen live, and wrestling's best seen in like a small venue. So like if WWE's not coming to your town, look for like a small wrestling group, because one, you'll probably see like a great star, like an upcoming star or something, because they always try and get one big star.
Right.
And yeah, fucking great time for like $20.
That's true.
There you go.
All right, guys. Again, thank you for listening. I'm Joey Mangione.
Dwayne Norona.
Fucking always forgets his name.
The creepiest of uncles.
Right.
I swear to God, I'm gonna have to get a sign, aren't I?
You're gonna have to get a cleaning crew.
Ugh.
All right, don't
Get a black-
choose combo number 5.
Get a black light in here.
This episode of the No Inner Monologue was brought to you by...
How's it going there? Jesus here, aka Tyrant Dominus, the host of the Convoluted Podcast, a show where I talk with people from around the world and from my own backyard about the projects they're working on, careers they have, or hobbies they enjoy. And along the way, they regale us with strange tales from their past, and as we play an assortment of games that would leave many speechless. Join us on the Convoluted Podcast, everywhere podcasts can be heard.